Okay, so today I wanted to make a biblical reasoning video on why not to smoke weed. So we start here at the judgment of Adam and Eve. The reason why I bring up the judgment of Adam and Eve is one of God's curses was to curse the ground. That's why we have to farm. That's why food doesn't just come, like back in Adam and Eve, there was trees that give you fruit. You don't have to work for it. But now you have to farm and you have to make food and you can't eat food without working. So when people tell you, oh, it's just from the ground, this is a ground that's cursed. So don't forget that. Another key reasoning is Jesus teaches that your body is a temple. So when Jesus was questioned by the Pharisees, he said, if you destroy this temple, I'll raise it back up in 3 days. The temple he was talking about was his body. So he acknowledges that his body is a temple. And to take care of a temple, you can't pollute it. You can't damage it. And when you damage it, you will destroy the temple. And then this destruction comes with great consequences. So if you look here, one of the first consequences is you're not going to be able to defend yourself. If you're smoking weed, you're most likely outside. If something bad was to happen or people that dislike you roll up on you, it is GG. You're not going to be able to fight while you're smoking weed. You're going to be high. You're not going to be able to defend yourself. That's number one. Number two, it damages your health. Especially if you're an athlete and you smoke weed and you think you're going to compete against people that don't smoke weed, you are an idiot. You are an idiot. They will destroy you in every single way, every time. You will never win against an athlete that doesn't smoke weed if you smoke weed. And also it's very damaging for regular people. You know, breathing, things are necessary. Intelligence, very necessary. Your memorization skills, very necessary. And you're not going to be able to have it if you smoke weed. So, one of the things, another great consequence that comes with smoking weed is it impairs your judgment. You're going to always think that you're right. Sometimes in life, it's good to know when you're wrong. Thinking that you're always right, this is going to lose you a lot of friendships. And this is going to make you look like a fool in many situations as well. Another thing it does, it makes you lazy and makes you procrastinate work. How does it make you lazy? It makes you hungry and sleepy. You can't be productive while sleeping. Let's say you have goals in life. Let's say you want to get somewhere in life. Weed makes you relax. In 5 years, I want to get this great job. I want to get my degree. Smoke a little bit of weed. That 5 years is going to turn to 20 years because you're never going to get the degree while being high. You're going to procrastinate all your life goals. You're going to procrastinate even small things like I need to get this homework done by the end of the day. You're not finishing it if you smoke weed. Another consequence is it makes you dumb and forgetful. While you smoke weed, you forget everything that, let's say we have a conversation, I tell you a story, boy, I ask you about the story tomorrow, you forgot it. So it makes it long, it makes it so long if you're friends with someone that smokes weed, because you're going to have to keep telling them over and over again what happened, because they're going to forget. And it also makes you dumb. You're not going to be able to learn things in a dumb state of mind. In a forgetful state of mind, you're not going to be able to learn new information, you're not going to be able to process new information, you're not going to be able to further your skills, so you're most likely going to be an idiot. Another key thing is, it's a gateway drug. So, sooner or later, the weed, you're not going to be high anymore. It's not going to work as much as it used to. You're going to smoke and you're going to be like, I'm not as high as I used to be. Maybe I need more weed. Then, one day, that's not even enough. So this pushes you further into the drug path. Now crack makes sense. Now heroin makes sense. Now fentanyl makes sense. But it all started from where? Weed. Another key thing that I wanted to bring up, and where I should have actually started, was the story of Job. If you remember the story of Job, Job was a very righteous man, a good man. He had a great family. He had a lot of land. He was rich. One day, God is telling the angels. God is telling the angels, and also he's telling Satan in the crowd, look at my most righteous person that I know. Job. Job was very righteous. He's a great person. But then Satan returned. And Satan asked, he's only righteous to you because he's rich, because he has a great family, because he has a great land, because he has a lot of animals. If you take all these things away from him, he will curse you and he will rue the day that he loved you. So then God proceeds. He takes away first his riches. So there's a great flood. His animals scatter. He takes away everything, money-wise, from Job. Job is still righteous and still faithful to God. Satan turns around and says to God, he's only righteous to you because he has a great family. All his sons, disease, daughters, they all die. He's only righteous with you because he has no disease himself. He gains a great disease. While he's suffering a lot, who comes into play? His three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. Eliphaz accuses him. He says to Job, you must have sinned because innocent people don't suffer as much as you do in life. The reality is, Job responds, I am innocent, I have done nothing wrong. Life is unfair, something is going on that I don't understand. They refuse to allow him to believe this way. So then Bildad turns around and says, ask Job, you must repent, you must seek God's favor, you must have done great wrong. Job returns, says, I have done nothing wrong, I am innocent. So Zophar responds, he suggests this when Job was rich, he stole from the poor, and that God's wisdom was too great for him to understand, and he must repent. So the Job, sooner or later he starts thinking, I've done nothing wrong, my friends keep asking me to repent, I didn't do anything. He wants to take God to court. He wants to understand why he's suffering so much. So then one day, God comes down, and then he takes Job on a tour, saying, were you there when I created the earth, when I separated the winds, when I extended the stars? Were you there when all these things happened? Instead of answering Job's question, he questions him even more. But in this hotel, Job did continue praying, and he did maintain faithful. Eventually, because Satan was only instructed to make him suffer, but he wasn't allowed to kill Job. He's not allowed to kill. That's why in life, people commit suicide. They are convinced to kill themselves by demons, but demons cannot kill you. Anyway, after all this foretell, God gives back Job his riches, a new family, and a new land. But what do I understand from the story? Life is hard and unfair. In reality, Job did nothing wrong. He was innocent. He was a good man, but he greatly suffered. Why? Because life's unfair. So in life being unfair, there is no escape. There is no 20 minutes fun. There is no 20 minutes high. Life will be hard when you're high. Life will be hard when you're trying to have fun. So in reality, you had no fun. There is no escape. And that's one thing you need to understand. That's why it's pointless to smoke weed.